There is currently an increase in the occurrence of chronic illnesses like Crohn's disease, cancer, hypertension, diabetes, etc. This can be linked to the consumption of ultra-processed foods in our diet today. Hi, my name is Sophia Oji. I am a preventive health nutritionist and I am here to tell you the adverse effects of consuming ultra-processed foods and exactly how we can replace them with whole foods in our meals today. So first question, what are ultra-processed foods? As the name implies, ultra-processed food refers to foods that have gone through some extra form of processing, like the inclusion of additives, preservatives, artificial coloring, artificial flavors, etc. This is done to basically improve the shelf life of these food items, to increase their palatability and how they appear on our plates. So basically, they are produced to increase consumption and profits for these food companies. So I just want you to take note of that ultra processed foods are produced with profit in mind and not your health. Okay. So examples of ultra processed foods. There are so many examples ranging from your sugary drinks, ranging from your pastries down to your shawarma. Yes, the bacon in your shawarma has currently recently been grouped as group 1 carcinogen with tobacco. For a long time, tobacco has been the number one cancer causing anything in this entire life. But currently, bacon has made it to the list. Congratulations. So bacon is now a group 1 carcinogen, and this can be found in a lot of our pastries and enjoyment foods. That in our pizzas you find bacon, in a shawarma you find bacon there, and it is unhealthy because it is an ultra processed food. Another example, like I mentioned, your sugary drinks. If you take your juice produced by companies, your juice pack, and you look at the back, you're going to notice sometimes they're honest. They might say artificial flavors, artificial colors, or they could just include the botanical name. You could say something like oxalates or any basically compound. It's usually something oxalates or something acetate. It usually ends with oxalates or acetate. So what these compounds do, they usually mimic the coloring and the taste of your oranges, your apples, your bananas. So that's even down to even the milk flavors. They just mimic the taste, the color, and the appearance of them. So this helps them to cut down costs while also processing or producing something as similar to the original. So you don't get to notice too much differences and then you just taking these things in. Are these compounds inherently dangerous to our bodies? We cannot say, oh, taking them could kill you. But there are so many studies that show that consuming foods containing additives, artificial flavoring, artificial coloring have been linked to metabolic disruptions in our bodies. A big example is emulsifiers. What is an emulsifier? An emulsifier is basically a compound that helps link two things that should not link. For example, oil and water. A detergent is an emulsifier. So basically, that is how washing your clothes work. A detergent takes the oil in your clothing and the water and combines them together. So the water with the emulsifier helps to pull out the oil from your clothing, thereby giving you a clean garment, right? So this is the same thing with our body. Emulsifier makes the oil and the fat mix together, so it helps them to produce a more stable compound to add to your processed food. And emulsifiers have been linked to the increase in chronic liver inflammation. So yes, we can say that consuming this processed food in the long term are dangerous to our health. Another example of processed food is bread. Yes, bread, I said it. And everybody loves bread. An average Nigerian loves bread. I do. But not all bread are inherently bad or say ultra processed. But do you buy your bread? A quick question. Do you buy your bread and then it stays on your shelf for like 6, 7 days and you don't even see any form of mold on it? It remains as fresh as the day that you bought it. If that happens, see, even 4 days, if that happens, then your bread is an ultra processed food item. Yes, your bread is ultra processed. So you probably should trash that because it contains a lot of chemicals that are going to disrupt your body. And I'm going to explain how they disrupt your metabolic processes in your body later on. But let me now focus on bread. So let me take knife and stab bread. Okay, so bread is included with these preservatives because they want to improve shelf life. They want them to last for longer. So it's not terrible to eat bread. Bread in itself is a little bit has too much calories in question, so you should eat less of bread. So talk more of adding preservatives on top of the problems that we're already dealing with. We're saying, okay, no more processed food, more veggies, more fruits, less carbs, and the carbs that we're consuming, you're making it more dangerous for us. That is so unfair. So if you buy a piece of bread and it stays for 2 days and then you find that it's already growing mold, that is probably the bread that you should eat because it's not meant to last for that long. It's not a piece of book, it's not a furniture. Once it's 6, 7 days and it's lasting, you should throw that away. That is a cancer causing agent that you're holding in your house. You should not consume it, your family should not consume it, your kids should not be consuming this in the long run. Another example of processed foods that contain additives are our seasoning cubes. Whenever you pick up any of your seasoning ingredients from cubes to the sachets and you see sodium L-glutamate, so basically, like I said, compounds, the chemical compounds, their names, glutamate, oxalate, acetate, all the eight. Well, what sodium L-glutamate does is that it helps to, it's mostly in your seasoning cubes. I don't want to mention brand names for my safety, but what they do is that they help to mimic the taste and the smell of meat. That's why in a particular company, they have the name, you see the name chicken seasoning cube. They say the name beef seasoning cube. There's no the name then for soup and for stews because they either mimic the taste and the smell of beef, they mimic the taste and the smell of chicken, they mimic the taste and the smell of fish or something else. Do you understand? Before in their adverts, they transmit this picture that oh they have to go to their kitchen and then they ground beef and boil it and take the stuff and freeze the stuff and block it and that's how you get your seasoning cube. All the ingredients mixed together gives you the seasoning cube. That's how they hold their kiss and they wink. Okay, that's on the lighter side. But nobody does that. It is chemical compounds that mimic. This is literally one of the first topics that we were taught in school, food science technology courses. Sodium L-glutamate, acetate for oxalate and acetate for oranges, apples, tangerines, those flavors. So there's like a whole long list of chemical compounds that can mimic almost every food item from bananas to apples to mangoes. There are chemical compounds that can mimic their taste, their smell, and their colors. Do you understand? So taking this as disrupts the signal when our body consumes them. Yeah, I said I was going to explain to you how exactly they cause metabolic disruptions, especially the glutamates and the oxalates and the acetates and the emulsifiers and the xanthoms and the tannins and the etc. So when your body consumes them and they are bound in your food item, in the ultra processed food, it causes metabolic disruptions in the sense that normally when you eat, your gut is meant to send information or messages that oh yeah food just came, so yeah we're processing the food, so for some time don't we tell the hippocampus for some time don't bother about sending any signal of hunger, we're good for the meantime, we're okay, so don't bother. But because your body was not created to break down or absorb these chemical compounds, your body is confused. So what is this? Oh yeah, well, glutamate. Who is glutamate? Who is acetate? Who are you? Why are you here? So your body is confused and sometimes it could send mixed signals that okay there's food or there's no food or there's too much food or there's too little food. Most times it sends the signal of that there is no food here. So that's why when you finish consuming food in an hour or two, you're hungry again. No, it shouldn't be so. So now I'm giving you one of the reasons why. It's because of the chemical compounds that we're consuming. It's disrupting our entire chemical process of our bodies and how things should be broken down. And I don't want to just go into any of the too much English. So anyway, how to identify ultra processed foods. if you pick up a food item in your supermarket and you look at it and there is a long list of ingredients and you're seeing things that you don't recognize and it feels like this is SS2 chemistry class, even if you're an art student, you are not in science, but this looks like chemistry, you probably should drop that down. If you look at it, it's just one food item. It is not maybe bread. It is just maybe you're picking a pancake powder to make your pancakes, or any juice, and you're seeing cyanine. You know, cyanides aren't that bad, but you're seeing anything that has acetates, oxalates, you're seeing glutamates here and there for just one product. You're seeing at least 6 to 7 chemical compounds. The chances of that being processed is actually 85 to 90%. You should drop that down. But irregardless, I understand that this ultra processed food have formed the fiber of our daily meal. So we actually cannot just do away with them over time. What we can do is to provide awareness. So over time, you could try to consciously take note of these ingredients in your food items and drop them. So yes, I'm not telling you, so, okay, henceforth, don't eat shawarma anymore. Don't eat. Yes, did I mention bacon is currently the group 1 carcinogen in the world with tobacco? Yeah, it's competing with tobacco now as the group 1 carcinogen. And it's in almost everything we eat. It's in shawarmas, it's in your pizzas. Sometimes you could even dice your bacon and, cut your bacon and just put it in your noodles in itself, which is cancerous too, and you're just eating a whole basin of cancer. How lovely. I'm sorry. So, what was I saying? I was talking about how to identify them, and we're done with that. So, if you see a lot of ingredients, there is a long list on your food item, it's probably processed, and you should just take note of it. And over time, keep on taking note of this compounds and just look for how to replace them. It might be difficult, yes. I could come and say, oh, replace the packed fruit juice with fresh fruit juices, and you're thinking, okay, fresh fruit juices, who's going to wash my blender? It takes so much time. I have a family of 7. How am I going to make fresh fruit juice for the entire family? There is an easy way. There are easier fruit juices you can make. You could just make zobo. Yes, take zobo leaf, boil, filter, make a whole bath, and put in your freezer. Okay, whenever you want to take food, you just fetch out a little and you give your household. But as difficult as it is, we have to put our health into consideration. We want to live a long, healthy life. We don't want to die. And we don't want to die. We don't want to live life. You're working and you're saving so much money. And when you're meant to retire and enjoy your life, you're spending money, you're paying for chemotherapy, you're paying for dialysis, you're paying for glucophage, you're paying for metformin, insulin vials, etc., etc. They're telling you that your liver is failing and you have to meet someone to cut small liver for you so that you can regenerate. No, all that is extra money, all that is extra stress, and you're just not happy. And all the money that you've saved up, you want to go to Cancun or you want to go to Maldives to relax in your retirement years, you just spent it in that private hospital. Not fair, right? So you need to listen to me. All right, so the second part of my topic today, how to replace these ultra processed foods with whole foods. Okay, I'm going to give an example. One very popular example is your custard. You see that custard? From the top of the head of the custard to the toes of the custard is chemically formulated. There is nothing natural about that custard. From the thickness to the coloring to the taste, someone sat down in a lab and decided to mimic pap, decided to make akamu or ogi. Someone sat down in a lab and decided to mimic pap. So throw that away. That there is no even middle ground. Trash that. Trash that. Okay. Replace your pap with replace your custard, sorry, with your regular pap. The pap has fiber, it has a lot of micronutrients, it has healthy carbs, and it's way healthier, safer for you, safer for your kids. Okay, so a lot of our breakfast includes most of these processed foods, like you find your eggs and your bacon, your pancakes, your pastries, and all that. You could try, you don't have to, like I said, you don't have to do everything overnight. You could try to replace them little by little. Why don't you try incorporating bean cakes, akara, for breakfast instead? Why not taking offer? And the one problem I have with us, especially Nigerians, is we look down on our local foods a lot. And let me surprise you, our local foods are way, 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 way more healthy than the local foods of people in other countries, our foods contain a lot of fiber, a lot of micronutrients, and your body needs fiber. I've been saying fiber, fiber for every video. Whole foods, fiber, because it is very important. There's a whole topic about probiotics and how fiber serves as food for the microorganisms in your gut, thereby giving you a healthy gut and a healthy digestive system in general. Do you understand? So you have to replace. Another example is oppa. Okay, oppa. The first time I ate oppa, I think I think I was an adult because I did not really grow up in the east. So the first time I ate oppa was an adult, and it tasted very different because it looked like moi moi, but it's not moi moi. Then what is this? But I can tell you for free that oppa has a lot of fiber, has good proteins. It has a very low glycemic index, and it helps to stabilize your blood sugar. So you don't experience what we call glucose spikes. Glucose spikes in itself, they increase insulin insensitivity in our body, and they age our organs and our body faster. Your body should not be experiencing glucose spikes. So if you're someone who believes that breakfasts are compulsory, instead of taking something so processed, so sugary, so high in carbohydrates, you could take probably maybe um why don't you even try carrots? Carrots are nuts in the morning, and that's a very very healthy food because the carrots, it contain little energy for you. They have fiber, they have beta carotene, which is good for your eyes, your skin, and your heart. And beta carotene is easily absorbed when you consume it with foods that contain little oil, like your nuts, like your groundnut. Groundnut contains oil. The groundnut in itself contains protein, and it contains little oil. So that's like a perfect combo. Maybe you eat that, and then later on you can take any fruit juice of your choice. Okay, so back to my topic: how to replace your ultra processed food with your whole foods. Examples of whole foods or local foods you can use to replace your ultra processed foods in your diet. I mentioned one, okpa. OKPA, okpa. This is for the Easterners. Okay, there's okpa, there's fiofio, there's even abacha. Abacha is very, very healthy. It has little carbohydrate, it has a lot of vegetables. There's garden egg leaves, there's uziza, depending on how you make it, and there's little oil from the source. So that is a balanced diet right there. There's a lot of veggies, like I said, veggies, fiber to improve your gut health. You understand? Then if you go down to middle belt or north, we have your kuli kuli, you have dankuya, you have your sesame seed cake. It's like a small, round, very healthy sesame seed. So when you do consume it, it provides your body with enough energy to survive, and then there's still a lot of fiber. You could actually take a sesame seed if you're on a diet and you're trying to just not eat anything to increase your calories. You could just snack on it, maybe as lunch. If you have a breakfast, snack on it as lunch, and then for dinner you prepare something else. Um, Whole foods, you have your rice in general. For whole foods, the two most popular examples are your grains and your legumes. Now legumes refer to your plants that are creeping and crawling on the floor, aside from are not legumes. Yes, so for your legumes, you have your beans, your lentils, your soya beans, etc. You get basically all the bean family, all the different kinds of beans, cowpea, etc. Then for your grains, refers to your rice, your millet, your corn, basically the ones that grow upwards. So, corn grows up and then it leaves opens like this. Rice grows up and leaves opens like this. Millet, same thing. Your hungry millet, acha. I've literally been talking about legumes and grains for quite a while now. I'm trying to emphasize their importance in our diet. Okay. Combining your legumes and your beans in your meals and your legumes are very, very important and very, very healthy for your diet. Okay, so another popular example of foods you can replace, have I mentioned your juices? Yes, there are so many locally made juices that maybe they might be a little bit difficult to process, but like I said, you don't have to completely carry the entire ultra processed food and just trash it. It starts with one day. You get one step at a time. You don't have to rush it, because if you rush it, you might overwhelm it. First of all, you could just take those sugary drinks and trash them first of all, and stick with water. Then if you're craving juice, just wake up. I'm sure probably around you there might be some places where fresh juices are produced. Where I stay, there are places like that. So they make the juice in your front, so you're sure of the integrity and the quality. You pay for the fruits and you just do everything in your front. There are no sugars added, nothing artificial, no additive. It's just fresh juice. And juices, so especially carrot juice. Carrot juice is so healthy, contains fiber, and blending your carrots helps your body to absorb the beta carotene present in carrots. So to conclude this videos, I'm going to include an infographic showing ultra processed foods that can be replaced by whole foods. I'm going to make an infographic list of that, and I'm also going to show you a list of whole foods you can include in your diet daily. Healthy whole foods. Like I said, you don't have to come and clear your entire regimen at once. You could introduce these foods step by step, little by little. Okay, so thank you so much for joining me today on my YouTube channel. I really do hope you learned something, and I hope to see you one more time. Do not forget to subscribe, follow, comment, and share. And I'll be here. And on our next topic, I'm going to be talking about glucose spikes, what they do to your body, your organs, how they age you, and how you can prevent that. So watch out, okay? Thank you for joining me today. Do have a lovely day. Bye.